Let's start with our first news. Merab has just suffered a broken nose, and the situation is already raising serious concern around his upcoming schedule. The injury reportedly happened during sparring, a moment that quickly turned from routine training into a painful setback. Despite the severity, Merab has made it clear that he will not undergo surgery, mainly because the recovery timeline could stretch close to a full year. This decision comes at a crucial time in his career. He is currently scheduled to face Henry Cejudo in a grappling match at Real American Freestyle on April 18th. With the fight date approaching fast, uncertainty is growing about whether he will be physically ready to compete. A broken nose affects breathing, timing, and overall performance, especially in a high-paced grappling environment. At the same time, there is an even bigger priority looming in the background. His UFC bantamweight title trilogy fight against Petr Yan is expected to take place sometime this summer. By choosing to avoid surgery, Merab is clearly prioritizing staying active and ready for that high-stakes matchup. It is a calculated risk, but one that shows his mindset and determination. The rivalry between Merab and Yan has already delivered two very different fights. In their first encounter, Merab showcased relentless pressure and non-stop wrestling, overwhelming Yan with pace and control. However, the rematch told a completely different story. Yan adjusted, dominated the striking exchanges, and controlled large portions of the fight with composure and precision. Now, with the trilogy on the horizon, opinions remain divided. Some believe Merab's cardio and relentless style will once again break Yan over time. Others argue that Yan's technical boxing and well-rounded skill set will allow him to repeat his success from the second fight. Speaking on the injury, Merab did not hold back. He described the accident as frustrating and unfortunate, especially considering he had broken his nose years ago in his professional debut. This time, however, he claims the damage is even worse. He explained that the bones inside are broken, his breathing is compromised on one side, and the visible shift in his nose is clear. Even with all of this, Merab remains locked in, choosing resilience over recovery and pushing forward despite the setback. Move on to another news. Chael Sonnen has sparked serious debate after claiming that Islam Makhachev's fights are no longer exciting. While acknowledging Islam's incredible skill level and dominance, Sonnen explained that the very thing making him great is now reducing the overall suspense for fans. According to Sonnen, Islam has reached such an elite level that it feels like no opponent can realistically challenge him inside the cage. When fans go into a fight already believing the outcome is almost guaranteed, the natural tension and anticipation begin to fade. The unknown factor disappears, and with it, much of the excitement that makes high-level fights so compelling. He emphasized that this is not a criticism of Islam's ability, but rather a consequence of his consistent dominance. Fight fans are drawn to uncertainty, to moments where anything can happen. But when one fighter appears nearly unstoppable, that sense of unpredictability starts to vanish. Sonnen's take has divided opinions across the MMA community. Some agree, believing that dominance without real competition can make fights feel predictable. Others argue that watching a fighter operate at such a high level is exciting in its own way, appreciating the technical mastery and control Islam brings every time he steps into the octagon. In the same discussion, attention also shifted toward a potential middleweight title clash between Khamzat and Sean Strickland at UFC 328. This matchup brings a completely different kind of energy, with contrasting styles and personalities that naturally create intrigue. While Islam's dominance may reduce suspense for some, fights like Khamzat versus Strickland remind fans of the chaos and unpredictability that make MMA so thrilling. Move on to another news. Ilya is once again making headlines, and this time it is because of a bold move that has caught the attention of fans across the MMA world. Known for his confidence and fearless predictions, Ilya has never been shy about speaking things into existence before stepping into the cage. Now it seems like he is doing it again, but in a very direct way. Recently, fans noticed something unusual on his social media. Ilya updated his Instagram bio to show his professional record as 18-0. The detail quickly went viral because officially his record currently stands at 17-0. This small but powerful change has sparked massive discussion, with many interpreting it as a clear statement of intent. For Ilya, this is not just confidence, it is a mindset. By already adding another win to his record, he is essentially declaring that his next fight is already done in his mind. It reflects the belief that he is operating on a completely different level, where outcomes are already decided before the fight even begins. However, this kind of move also comes with pressure. When a fighter publicly makes such a statement, it raises expectations to another level. Fans, analysts, and opponents will all be watching closely, waiting to see if he can actually deliver on that prediction. In a sport as unpredictable as MMA, even the smallest miscalculation can change everything in an instant. Some fans love this approach, seeing it as the mentality of a future superstar who is fully locked in and unshaken. Others view it as a risky move, believing that getting ahead of reality can sometimes backfire if things do not go according to plan. One thing is certain, Ilya understands how to build attention and keep himself in the spotlight. Whether it is through his performances or his statements, he continues to create buzz every time he speaks or makes a move. As the next fight approaches, all eyes will be on Ilya to see if this early prediction turns into reality, or if it becomes a moment that he will have to answer for inside the octagon. Move on to another news. Movzar has finally broken his silence regarding the growing rumors surrounding his fight with Lerone Murphy, and he made it very clear that many of the claims circulating online are completely false. Addressing the biggest accusation first, Movzar denied that the UFC ever gave him any kind of ultimatum about not using his wrestling. He stated there was never any instruction or pressure from the promotion to change his style. He also shut down rumors suggesting he was forced to take the fight under threat of being cut, calling those claims completely untrue. According to Movzar, the fight being scheduled for 5 rounds meant there was always enough time to implement his wrestling game. However, once the fight started and he began exchanging strikes with Murphy, he realized something important. He said he did not feel any real danger coming from his opponent, which influenced how he approached the rest of the fight. He also responded to comments made by Aljo Sterling, who suggested that Murphy may have been robbed on the scorecards. Movzar found those remarks amusing, pointing out the contrast in Aljo's behavior. He explained that in person, especially during meetings in Vegas, Aljo is extremely friendly and supportive, often telling him he deserves a title shot. Yet online, the tone appears completely different, which Movzar clearly finds ironic. When it comes to the fight itself, Movzar admitted it was close, but strongly rejected the idea that it could have been scored as a draw or a loss. He emphasized the key factors that he believes secured his victory, including 9 takedowns, consistent top control, effective ground and pound, and overall damage. He made it clear that while the striking numbers may have looked similar on paper, the actual impact and control in the fight told a very different story. Movzar also highlighted that Murphy had little to no success in wrestling exchanges and failed to create any meaningful damage during the fight. From his perspective, he controlled nearly every aspect of the matchup. Looking ahead, Movzar says he is ready for a potential fight against Alexander Volkanovski in May. He even mentioned he would be open to competing on a White House card if the opportunity presents itself. With confidence still high, Movzar closed by saying that nothing in this sport surprises him anymore, and he is focused on continuing his momentum forward. Move on to another news. Chael Sonnen recently shared his thoughts on the upcoming Khamzat versus Sean Strickland matchup, and he made it clear that he would be genuinely surprised if Khamzat finishes Strickland early. According to Sonnen, Strickland is built for long, grueling 5-round wars. His elite cardio, awkward striking style, and high-level takedown defense make him extremely difficult to put away quickly, even against a dominant grappler like Khamzat. Sonnen framed the fight as a classic grappler versus striker battle. He explained that if Khamzat's wrestling is not as dominant as expected, Strickland's experience and durability could force him into deep waters, stretching the fight into later rounds. With Khamzat still without a title defense since winning the belt in August 2025, and Strickland coming off an impressive TKO over Anthony Hernandez, this matchup is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing stylistic clashes of the year. He also drew a comparison to Islam Makhachev, noting that while Islam is undeniably great, fights at his level have become less exciting because it is hard to imagine anyone realistically challenging him. Sonnen explained that part of the thrill in MMA comes from believing the opponent has a chance, and when that belief disappears, the excitement naturally drops. Specifically addressing Khamzat versus Strickland, Sonnen said he would be shocked if Khamzat finished the fight in 2 minutes. Strickland is made for long, hard matches, and his style thrives under pressure. Sonnen pointed out that Strickland often does his best work when he is counted out or seen as an underdog. Against Izzy, he was a 6-1 underdog, but went on to win all 5 rounds. In this fight, he enters as a 4-1 underdog, which still presents an opportunity for him to rise to the occasion and take advantage of relieving pressure and expectation. Overall, Sonnen sees Strickland's durability and skill set as a serious challenge for Khamzat. While Khamzat has the talent and ability to dominate many opponents, Strickland's unique combination of experience, cardio, and striking awkwardness makes him a fighter who can endure, survive, and potentially extend the fight into deep, competitive rounds. Fans can expect a matchup that tests both fighters to their limits, emphasizing strategy, endurance, and mental toughness over quick finishes. Move on to another news. Michael Morales, the top-ranked welterweight and likely next title challenger for Islam Makhachev, has recently found himself in 2 notable encounters that are stirring tension in the division. The first was a heated run-in with Ian Gary, which Morales described as intense. According to him, Gary was lucky there were no cameras around to capture exactly what happened, adding fuel to the growing rivalry as both fighters compete for the same title opportunity. Morales made it clear that while the confrontation was serious, it was handled privately. He explained that he confronted Gary at the Performance Institute in Las Vegas, but without cameras, there was no way to publicly prove the encounter. Morales acknowledged that Gary has his own perspective, and he has his own, emphasizing that the focus remains on waiting for the fight to happen. He admitted that facing Gary would be a completely different kind of challenge. Morales suggested that if the fight were to happen, he would approach it in a more aggressive manner than he has with anyone else so far, especially considering his momentum with 3 consecutive first-round knockouts. The intensity of the matchup and the unpredictability of his own approach make this potential clash highly anticipated. The second encounter was far more casual, taking place at UFC 322 when Islam Makhachev won the welterweight belt. Morales explained that he and Islam simply greeted each other from a distance, fully aware that their paths would eventually cross in the octagon. Despite the calm nature of this interaction, the implications are clear. Morales is seemingly positioned as the front runner for the next title shot, while Gary continues to push hard for his own opportunity. The bad blood between Morales and Gary is building both on and off camera, adding drama to the welterweight landscape. Islam's first welterweight title defense is expected to take place in August at UFC 331, nearly a year after claiming the belt. Morales remains focused and composed, navigating the tension with both fighters while keeping his eyes firmly on the upcoming title opportunity. Whether in heated confrontations or casual meet and greets, Morales is making his presence known, sending a clear message that he is ready for the challenges ahead. Morales' recent interactions highlight not just the competitive stakes, but the personal intensity that comes with chasing a title in the UFC, where rivalries and matchups are always about more than just the fight itself. Move on to another news. Islam Makhachev is teasing his next UFC fight, and fans are buzzing with anticipation. This past weekend at the Apex, with Moano and Duncan headlining the card, updates on Makhachev's return began circulating, signaling that something big could be on the horizon. Yesterday, on his Instagram, Makhachev posted a video of himself cleaning his belts, a subtle but clear hint to fans that news about his next matchup might be coming soon. The timing is no surprise, as Dana White has already mentioned that the UFC is planning for Makhachev to fight in August, meaning an official announcement could arrive at any moment. The real question now is WHO Makhachev will face. Both Ian Gary and Michael Morales have been actively campaigning for the title shot, and speculation is high about which fighter the promotion will select. With both competitors bringing unique styles and momentum, the matchup promises to be highly anticipated and potentially career-defining for whoever earns the opportunity. Makhachev's Instagram post, while simple, was enough to get fans talking. Cleaning the belts is a symbolic gesture that reflects not only pride in his accomplishments, but also a subtle reminder that he is ready to defend and continue dominating in the octagon. It sends a clear message that Makhachev is focused, motivated, and mentally prepared for the next challenge, whatever it may be. Additionally, another name that has been widely discussed in relation to a potential matchup is Ilia Topuria. Many fans and followers of the sport have expressed strong interest in seeing Makhachev face Topuria, as a clash between these two high-level athletes would be a highly technical and competitive fight. The anticipation surrounding potential opponents is growing, and the UFC's eventual decision will likely dominate headlines and social media conversations. For now, Makhachev continues to train and maintain focus, keeping fans engaged with subtle teasers while the promotion prepares for an August showdown. Whether it's Gary, Morales, or even a future matchup with Topuria, the next fight promises to be a pivotal moment in Makhachev's welterweight reign, with excitement and speculation building every day as the announcement draws nearer.